The Atacama Desert stretched out like a vast, unforgiving canvas of ochre and rust, its ancient landscape seemingly untouched by time. Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted her wide-brimmed hat, squinting against the merciless midday sun. Her research team had been working for weeks, their base camp a cluster of reinforced mobile units that stood in stark contrast to the barren landscape. Geological surveys had become increasingly complex in recent years. What once required months of manual exploration could now be accomplished with advanced scanning technologies that could peer deep beneath the Earth's surface. Elena's team represented the pinnacle of interdisciplinary research: geologists, physicists, linguists, and technological experts united by an insatiable curiosity about the unknown. Checking primary scanner, called out Dr. Michael Chen, the team's lead geophysicist. His fingers danced across a holographic interface, layers of geological data materializing like intricate digital landscapes. The scanning equipment was a marvel of modern technology, capable of detecting structural anomalies with microscopic precision. Suddenly, the air grew thick with anticipation. A low hum began to emanate from the scanning equipment, unlike anything the team had ever experienced. Michael's initial look of concentration transformed into one of disbelief. "Elena," he said, his voice carefully controlled, "you're going to want to see this." The holographic display flickered, then stabilized, revealing a structure that defied every known geological principle. Perfectly symmetrical geometric patterns emerged from the underground scan, their lines too precise to be natural, too complex to be random. It was as if someone had drawn a perfect mathematical blueprint deep beneath the desert floor. "That's impossible," whispered Dr. Sarah Lawrence, the team's lead geological analyst. She moved closer to the display, her trained eye catching details that made no scientific sense. The structure appeared to be massive, spanning several kilometers beneath the surface, with interconnected chambers and passages that suggested intentional design. Elena felt a familiar surge of excitement. Her career had been built on challenging the impossible, on pushing the boundaries of scientific understanding. This was more than just an anomalous reading. This was a discovery that could rewrite everything they knew about human history and potential extraterrestrial interactions. "Run a multi-frequency scan," she instructed Michael. "I want to confirm what we're seeing." The team worked with practiced efficiency. Additional scanning equipment was deployed: ground-penetrating radar, electromagnetic sensors, and specialized geological probes designed to gather data without disturbing the underlying structure. Each scan returned the same impossible result: a massive, geometrically perfect complex buried deep beneath the desert. Hours passed, and the sun began its descent, painting the desert in deep oranges and purples. The research team remained focused, their excitement growing with each new piece of data. The structure was not just large, it was impossibly sophisticated. Preliminary analysis suggested materials that didn't match any known geological composition, with energy signatures that suggested some form of dormant technological system. "It's like something is waiting," Michael muttered, more to himself than to the team. "These energy readings, they're not random. There's a pattern, almost like a hibernating system." Elena understood exactly what he meant. The scans revealed more than just a structure. They suggested something deliberate, something that had been placed with intention. Whatever lay beneath the Atacama Desert was no natural formation. It was a construct, potentially of extraterrestrial origin. As night fell and the desert cooled, the team set up additional monitoring equipment. Satellite feeds were synchronized, ground sensors calibrated to capture the slightest change. They were on the cusp of something extraordinary, and they knew it. Dr. Rodriguez looked out over the darkening landscape, her mind racing with possibilities. This discovery was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was a potential window into something far greater, a hidden history waiting to be uncovered, a secret that could change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. The desert kept its secrets for now, but not for long. The excavation site transformed into a marvel of modern engineering. Specialized drilling equipment, developed for the most challenging geological expeditions, stood ready to penetrate the mysterious underground structure. Belina Rodriguez watched as her team prepared for what could be the most significant archaeological moment of the century. Precision was paramount. Each movement was calculated, each tool selected with meticulous care. The team had spent weeks analyzing the initial scans, developing a strategy that would minimize potential damage to the extraordinary structure beneath the desert floor. Reinforced carbon fiber drilling rigs waited, their robotic arms poised like mechanical surgeons prepared for a delicate operation. "Initiating primary approach," announced Dr. Michael Chen, his voice steady despite the electric anticipation that filled the air. A network of sensors surrounded the dig site, ready to capture every microscopic detail of their descent. The first drill bit, composed of a revolutionary ceramic metallic alloy, began to bite into the desert ground. Hours passed in a rhythm of mechanical precision. Layer by layer, the team carved through millennia of geological history. Each core sample was immediately analyzed, preserved, and documented. The geological composition continued to surprise them. Minerals that seemed to shift subtly under examination, rock layers that defied conventional understanding. Dr. Sarah Lawrence worked alongside a team of materials experts, her hands moving carefully as she examined each extracted sample. "These mineral compositions are unlike anything in our databases," she muttered, more to herself than to her colleagues. "It's as if the very ground is waiting." The drilling continued through the night. Powerful lights illuminated the excavation site, creating a bubble of artificial daylight in the midst of the dark desert. The team worked in carefully orchestrated shifts, their excitement palpable but their approach methodical and scientific. As they approached the estimated depth of the structure, the drilling equipment began to behave strangely. Vibration sensors picked up unusual frequency patterns. The drill bits encountered sections of material that seemed to absorb and redirect energy in ways that defied physical laws. "We're encountering something," Michael called out, his fingers flying across the monitoring interface. "The material properties are changing. It's almost like the structure is responding to our approach." Elena leaned forward, her entire body tense with anticipation. Years of research, countless grants, endless nights of speculation. Everything had been leading to this moment. The team had discovered anomalies before, but nothing approached the magnitude of what lay beneath the Atacama Desert. Suddenly, the drill encountered a final barrier. Unlike the surrounding rock, this surface seemed to pulse with a faint, almost imperceptible energy. The monitoring equipment went wild, sensors registering phenomena that seemed to blur the lines between physical matter and something entirely different. Cutting through the final layer, Michael announced, his professional tone barely hiding the excitement in his voice. The moment the drill broke through, something extraordinary happened. A wave of light erupted from the newly created opening. Not a physical light, but a cascade of holographic projections that seemed to materialize from nowhere. Intricate geometric patterns danced in the air, complex mathematical equations, and unknown symbolic languages swirling around the stunned research team. Belina instinctively raised her hand, watching in wonder as the holographic displays responded to her movement. The projections seemed intelligent, adaptive, shifting and changing in response to human presence. It was as if the structure had been waiting, dormant but not dead, for someone to finally break through its millennia-old seal. "Initial readings are off the charts," Sarah called out, her voice a mixture of scientific detachment and pure wonder. The holographic displays continued to pulse and shift, revealing glimpses of technologies far beyond current human understanding. The team stood in collective awe. They had expected a discovery. What they found was an invitation, a complex, living system that seemed to be awakening after an incomprehensible period of dormancy. The hidden alien city was revealing its first secrets, and humanity was about to embark on a journey beyond anything they could have imagined. Something ancient and extraordinary was coming to life. Dr. Marcus Chen's hands trembled slightly as he traced the intricate symbols covering the walls of the newly discovered chamber. Linguistics had always been more than a profession for him. It was a passion that bridged human understanding across cultures, and now, potentially, across civilizations. The holographic displays continued to flicker and dance, revealing a complex language that defied traditional decoding methods. Each symbol seemed to shift and change, carrying multiple layers of meaning that went far beyond simple communication. It was as if the language itself was alive, a living repository of knowledge waiting to be understood. "This is extraordinary," Marcus muttered, setting up an array of specialized scanning equipment. Quantum linguistic processors hummed to life, their advanced algorithms attempting to map the complex symbolic system. Traditional translation methods would be useless here. This was a language that existed on multiple dimensional levels, each symbol a complex nexus of information. Elena Rodriguez watched from nearby, her scientific curiosity piqued by every new revelation. The research team had set up a comprehensive observation base within the newly accessed chamber. Protective environmental suits protected them from potential unknown radiation or atmospheric conditions, though initial readings suggested the environment was surprisingly stable. Hours turned into days. Marcus worked with a team of linguists, mathematicians, and computer specialists, each bringing their unique expertise to the challenge of understanding the alien language. They discovered that the symbols were not just a means of communication, but a complex system of knowledge preservation. "It's more than a language," Marcus explained during one of their daily briefings. "Each symbol is a multi-dimensional data point. It's like each character is a complete story, a scientific theorem, and a historical record all at once." The walls began to reveal the story of the archivists, a civilization dedicated to collecting and preserving knowledge from across the stars. But this was no simple archive. The more they decoded, the more they realized this was a testing ground, a complex mechanism designed to evaluate emerging civilizations. Dr. Sarah Lawrence joined the linguistic team, bringing her geological expertise to the interpretation process. "These symbols," she noted, "they're not just linguistic. They're carrying geological and astronomical data that goes back millions of years." Breakthrough came on the fifth day. A particular sequence of symbols suddenly aligned, creating a cascade of holographic projections that filled the entire chamber. Star charts, planetary systems, and complex evolutionary diagrams materialized around the stunned research team. The archivists, they learned, were more than collectors of knowledge. They were curators of potential, a civilization that had taken it upon themselves to track the development of intelligent life across the galaxy. Each symbol was a key, each projection a test of understanding. Marcus discovered something even more remarkable. The language was adaptive, changing subtly in response to human observation. It was as if the system was learning about them even as they were learning about it. Each attempt at translation refined the communication, creating a dynamic interaction between human researchers and the ancient system. "They're watching us," Michael Chen observed, analyzing the complex data streams. "Every time we decode a section, the system adjusts. It's like we're taking a test we didn't know we were taking." The implications were staggering. This was not just a discovery of an alien language or an alien archive. This was a first contact scenario that challenged everything humanity understood about intelligence, communication, and potential. As night fell outside the excavation site, the chamber continued to pulse with soft, intricate light. Holographic symbols danced and shifted, telling stories of civilizations long forgotten, of cosmic journeys beyond human imagination. Elena looked at her team, exhausted, excited, transformed by what they were uncovering. They were no longer just researchers. They were the first humans to communicate with the intelligence that had been waiting, watching, testing for millennia. The voices of the past were speaking, and humanity was finally ready to listen. The chamber transformed without warning. Holographic interfaces materialized around the research team, creating a three-dimensional puzzle that seemed to breathe with intelligent complexity. What had begun as a scientific expedition now felt like a high-stakes challenge that would test the very limits of human capability. Dr. Elena Rodriguez studied the emerging holographic system, her mind racing to understand its intricate mechanisms. The challenge before them was unlike any scientific test ever encountered. Geometric shapes twisted and realigned, mathematical equations danced in midair, and philosophical concepts materialized as tangible spatial constructs. "This is more than a test," Michael Chen observed, his fingers tracing the shifting holographic interfaces. "It's an evaluation of our collective problem-solving capabilities." The first challenge emerged as a multi-dimensional spatial puzzle. Researchers had to simultaneously solve geometric, mathematical, and conceptual problems that seemed to change with each approach. Where traditional scientific methods would fail, the team found themselves relying on something more fundamental: human creativity and collaborative thinking. Dr. Sarah Lawrence, the team's geological expert, found herself working alongside Marcus Chen, the linguistics specialist, and Dr. David Rodriguez, a quantum physicist. Their backgrounds couldn't have been more different, yet the puzzle demanded they work as a unified intelligence. The holographic system responded to their collaborative efforts. Each solved section revealed more complex challenges, testing not just individual expertise, but the team's ability to communicate, adapt, and think beyond their specialized fields. "It's watching how we think," Marcus noted, observing the way the holographic challenges morphed in response to their problem-solving approaches. "Not just what we know, but how we approach unknown challenges." Hours blended into a continuous stream of intellectual challenge. The team discovered that traditional linear thinking was useless. The puzzle required multidimensional reasoning that crossed disciplinary boundaries. A geological insight would unlock a linguistic challenge. A quantum physics concept would provide the key to a mathematical problem. Elena realized this was the true test, not of individual intelligence, but of collective human potential. The alien system was evaluating humanity's most distinctive trait: its ability to collaborate, to think beyond individual limitations. The challenges grew increasingly complex. At one point, the team faced a problem that seemed to require simultaneous solution in multiple conceptual dimensions. Mathematical equations intertwined with philosophical concepts. Spatial reasoning merged with linguistic interpretation. "We can't solve this alone," Sarah said, breaking the intense silence. "We need to think as one." And so they did. The researchers began to communicate in a way that transcended verbal language. Sketches, hand gestures, rapid-fire exchanges of ideas. They became a single problem-solving entity, their individual expertise blending into a collective intelligence. The holographic system responded. Challenges that had seemed impossible began to resolve. Complex geometric shapes aligned. Intricate mathematical problems found elegant solutions. Philosophical concepts crystallized into understandable frameworks. David Rodriguez noticed something extraordinary. The system wasn't just testing them. It was learning from them. Each solved challenge modified the next, becoming more complex, more nuanced. It was as if the alien intelligence was studying human cognitive processes in real time. As the final challenge approached, the team stood united, exhausted, exhilarated, transformed by what they had experienced. The chamber pulsed with an energy that felt almost alive, almost sentient. The last challenge materialized, a problem that seemed to encompass everything they had solved before. It required not just intellectual prowess, but emotional intelligence, creative thinking, and a depth of collaborative spirit that went beyond mere problem-solving. Elena looked at her team. They were no longer just individual researchers. They were a unified intelligence, ready to demonstrate the extraordinary potential of human collaboration. The final test began. The moment the final challenge resolved, something fundamental shifted in the chamber. Dormant systems that had slumbered for millennia began to pulse with an energy that defied scientific explanation. Intricate networks of light traced themselves across the walls, ceiling, and floor. A complex web of information that seemed to breathe with anticipation. Dr. Elena Rodriguez felt the change before she could observe it. The air itself felt different, charged with an intelligence that was both ancient and acutely present. Monitoring equipment went wild, sensors detecting energy signatures that didn't match any known form of electromagnetic radiation. "We're being analyzed," Michael Chen said quietly, his eyes fixed on the rapidly changing holographic displays. "Not just our solutions, our entire approach." The research team watched in collective wonder as massive data streams began to materialize around them. Star charts, evolutionary diagrams, and complex technological schematics overlapped and merged, creating a living map of cosmic history. It became clear that the hidden city was more than a repository of knowledge. It was a sophisticated monitoring station that had been tracking the development of intelligent life across the galaxy. Dr. Sarah Lawrence noticed something extraordinary about the emerging data. The cosmic map showed multiple civilizations, their rise and fall plotted with meticulous detail. Humanity appeared as a tiny, almost insignificant point of light. But unlike other civilizations represented in the chart, the human data point pulsed with a unique, vibrant energy. "They've been watching," Marcus Chen observed, his linguistic expertise helping to interpret the complex visual language. "Not just us. Every civilization that has ever shown potential." The monitoring systems seemed to focus intensely on the human research team. Where previous civilizations had been represented as static data points, humanity appeared dynamic, almost alive in the cosmic representation. Each solved challenge in the hidden city created ripples of light that expanded across the galactic map. Sophisticated tracking systems began to compile a comprehensive analysis of human potential. The team could see fragments of their own problem-solving process being dissected, analyzed, and compared against countless other species that had attempted similar challenges throughout cosmic history. "We're taking a test we didn't know existed," David Rodriguez muttered, watching as complex algorithms parsed every aspect of their collaborative approach. The chamber continued to transform. What had begun as a hidden underground structure now felt like a living, breathing intelligence center. Monitoring networks that had remained dormant for countless millennia stirred to full awareness, their sensors focused entirely on the human research team. Elena realized the true nature of their discovery. This was not just an archaeological expedition. They were first contact participants in a cosmic evaluation process far more complex than anyone could have imagined. The archivists, the civilization that had created this monitoring station, were not just collectors of knowledge. They were gatekeepers, carefully assessing which species might be ready to join a larger galactic community. Fragments of information began to coalesce. The team learned that many civilizations had attempted similar challenges. Most had failed, their potential deemed insufficient. Some had shown promise but ultimately fallen short. Humanity, however, was demonstrating something unique, a capacity for adaptive thinking, collaborative problem-solving, and creative intelligence that set them apart. The monitoring systems continued their relentless analysis. Every interaction, every solved challenge, every moment of collaborative insight was carefully recorded and evaluated. It was as if the entire hidden city was a complex intelligence test designed to reveal the true potential of an emerging species. "They're not just watching," Marcus said, his voice filled with a mixture of scientific excitement and philosophical wonder. "They're waiting to see what we'll do next." As night fell outside the excavation site, the chamber continued to pulse with living light. Cosmic data streams swirled around the research team, revealing glimpses of a universe far more complex and interconnected than humanity had ever imagined. Elena looked at her team, exhausted, transformed, standing at the threshold of the greatest discovery in human history. They were no longer just researchers. They were representatives of an entire species, being evaluated by an intelligence beyond human comprehension. The cosmic observers were awake, and humanity had their full attention. The chamber transformed with a sudden, breathtaking intensity. What had been a complex holographic environment now became a living, multidimensional problem that seemed to challenge the very fabric of human perception. The ultimate challenge materialized around the research team, a test that would push the limits of human intelligence beyond anything previously imagined. Dr. Elena Rodriguez felt the weight of the moment. This was more than a scientific challenge. It was a comprehensive evaluation of human potential that would require every ounce of creativity, collaboration, and cognitive flexibility their team could muster. The challenge began as a seemingly impossible multi-layered puzzle, quantum mechanical principles intertwined with philosophical concepts. Geological timescales merged with linguistic patterns. Mathematical equations danced with social dynamics, creating a problem that defied traditional approaches to problem solving. "We can't approach this linearly," Michael Chen observed, his fingers tracing the complex holographic interfaces. "This requires us to think beyond our individual disciplines." Dr. Sarah Lawrence, the team's geological expert, found herself working alongside Marcus Chen, the linguistic specialist, and David Rodriguez, the quantum physicist. The challenge demanded they transcend the boundaries of their specialized fields, creating a unified approach that drew from each of their unique perspectives. The first layer revealed itself as a complex spatial-temporal problem. It required simultaneous understanding of multiple dimensional perspectives. Where traditional scientific methods would falter, the team discovered they needed to approach the challenge as a collective intelligence. Marcus noticed something extraordinary. The challenge was adaptive, changing in response to their thought processes. Each attempt to solve a portion of the puzzle modified the subsequent challenges, creating a dynamic, living problem that seemed to learn and evolve with their approach. "It's not just testing our knowledge," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "It's evaluating our ability to think beyond known boundaries." The team began to communicate in ways that transcended verbal language. Sketches merged with mathematical notations, geological concepts intertwined with linguistic interpretations, quantum principles danced with philosophical insights. They became a single unified problem-solving entity. Hours blended into an intense, continuous moment of intellectual challenge. The puzzle demanded not just technical expertise, but emotional intelligence, creative thinking, and a depth of collaborative spirit that went far beyond traditional scientific approaches. David Rodriguez realized the true nature of the challenge. It was testing humanity's most distinctive trait, the ability to adapt, to think creatively, to solve problems by breaking down disciplinary barriers. The challenge grew increasingly complex. At one point, the team faced a problem that seemed to require solution across multiple conceptual dimensions simultaneously. Mathematical equations intertwined with philosophical concepts. Spatial reasoning merged with linguistic interpretation. Elena watched as her team transformed. They were no longer individual researchers, but a collective intelligence capable of approaching problems from perspectives no single mind could conceive. The holographic environment responded to their collaborative efforts. Challenges that had seemed impossible began to resolve. Complex geometric shapes aligned. Intricate mathematical problems found elegant solutions. Philosophical concepts crystallized into understandable frameworks. As they progressed, the team discovered that the challenge was more than an intellectual test. It was a comprehensive evaluation of human potential, testing not just what they knew, but how they thought, how they collaborated, how they approached the unknown. The final stage of the challenge emerged, a problem that seemed to encompass everything they had solved before. It required a level of thinking that went beyond intellectual prowess, demanding emotional intelligence, creative problem-solving, and a depth of collaborative spirit that challenged the very concept of individual intelligence. Elena looked at her team. They were exhausted, exhilarated, transformed by the experience. The chamber pulsed with an energy that felt almost alive, almost sentient. They stood at the threshold of something extraordinary. The ultimate challenge awaited, a test that would determine humanity's potential on a cosmic scale. With a collective breath, they began their final approach. The moment of resolution came like a cosmic exhale. Massive data streams burst forth, transforming the entire chamber into a living repository of universal knowledge. Holographic projections exploded around the research team, revealing layers of information that defied human comprehension. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the epicenter of the revelation, her scientific mind struggling to process the magnitude of what was unfolding. Blueprints of technologies beyond human imagination materialized in the air. Advanced propulsion systems, communication protocols that transcended known physics, and scientific insights that represented millennia of collected knowledge from across the galaxy. "We're receiving something," Michael Chen called out, his voice a mixture of excitement and awe. "Not just data. It's like the entire universe is downloading its history to us." The first wave of information revealed the true nature of the archivists' mission. They were more than collectors of knowledge. They were curators of potential, a civilization dedicated to identifying and nurturing emerging intelligent species with unique capabilities. Dr. Sarah Lawrence worked frantically to capture and catalog the incoming information. Star charts materialized showing civilizations long extinct, technological advancements that made human achievements look primitive, and complex ecological systems from distant planetary networks. "These are not just records," Marcus Chen observed, his linguistic expertise helping to interpret the complex data streams. "These are invitations, pathways of knowledge that have been waiting for a species capable of understanding them." The data was alive in a way no digital information had ever been. Each blueprint, each scientific insight seemed to pulse with an intelligence of its own. Technologies that had seemed impossible moments ago now appeared tantalizingly within reach. Propulsion systems that could traverse galactic distances, communication technologies that could bridge impossible gaps, medical advancements that could transform human understanding of life itself. David Rodriguez focused on the quantum communication protocols. "This is beyond anything we could have imagined," he muttered, watching as complex mathematical equations revealed themselves. "They're showing us how to communicate across dimensional boundaries." The chamber itself became a living interface. Walls transformed into dynamic displays, showing the interconnected nature of universal knowledge. The research team realized they were experiencing something more than a data transfer. This was a comprehensive introduction to a much larger cosmic community. Elena understood the true significance of their discovery. This was humanity's first genuine connection to a vast, interconnected galactic network of knowledge and potential. The archivists had been waiting, not to judge, but to guide. Fragments of philosophical insights merged with technological schematics. The incoming information challenged every fundamental understanding humans had about science, existence, and their place in the universe. It was a holistic view of knowledge that transcended disciplinary boundaries, showing how physics, philosophy, biology, and technology were fundamentally interconnected. The data streams continued to flow. Advanced medical technologies that could cure diseases once thought incurable. Environmental restoration techniques that could heal entire planetary ecosystems. Communication technologies that could bridge not just linguistic gaps, but conceptual ones. "They're offering us a roadmap," Marcus said, his voice filled with wonder. "Not just to technological advancement, but to a broader understanding of our place in the universe." Michael Chen worked to stabilize the incoming data, creating preservation protocols to ensure none of the precious information was lost. Each moment brought new revelations, glimpses of civilizations, technological achievements, and scientific insights that pushed the boundaries of human imagination. As the final layers of information began to resolve, the team realized they were no longer just researchers. They had become ambassadors, the first humans to make genuine contact with a cosmic intelligence that had been waiting, watching, preparing for this moment. The chamber pulsed with a final burst of energy. Holographic displays coalesced into a comprehensive overview, a testament to humanity's potential, a bridge between what was and what could be. Elena looked at her team. They were transformed, standing at the threshold of a new era of human understanding. The hidden city had revealed its greatest secret. Humanity was not alone, and their potential was far greater than they had ever imagined. The universe was opening its arms, and humanity was ready to embrace the invitation. The hidden city beneath the Atacama Desert became humanity's first interstellar embassy, a testament to a discovery that would transform civilization forever. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of a global transformation, watching as the knowledge received from the archivists began to reshape every aspect of human society. Research facilities around the world worked tirelessly to interpret and implement the technological insights. Advanced propulsion systems that had once seemed like distant science fiction now became tangible engineering projects. Medical research laboratories decoded biological restoration techniques that promised to revolutionize human health and environmental preservation. This is more than a technological leap, Elena explained during a global broadcast. This is a fundamental reimagining of human potential. The first starships began to take shape, constructed using blueprints that merged human engineering with the advanced technologies received from the hidden city. They were unlike anything previously conceived. Vessels that could navigate the complexities of interstellar space with an efficiency that seemed to defy known physical laws. Dr. Michael Chen led the propulsion research team, working to integrate the quantum communication protocols they had discovered. "We're not just building ships," he would say. "We're creating bridges between worlds." Global cooperation reached unprecedented levels. Nations that had previously been in conflict now worked together, united by the profound realization that humanity was part of a much larger cosmic community. The technological and philosophical insights gained from the hidden city created a new global perspective. Universities restructured entire academic disciplines. The rigid boundaries between scientific fields began to dissolve, replaced by a more holistic approach to understanding that mirrored the interconnected knowledge of the archivists. Interdisciplinary research became the new standard, with scientists, philosophers, and researchers working in collaborative teams that crossed traditional academic boundaries. Dr. Sarah Lawrence helped develop new environmental restoration technologies that could heal ecosystems on a planetary scale. The medical breakthroughs alone promised to eliminate diseases that had plagued humanity for millennia. Advanced genetic understanding allowed for targeted treatments that seemed almost miraculous. Marcus Chen's linguistic research team worked on developing communication protocols that could potentially bridge gaps with other intelligent species. The language systems discovered in the hidden city revealed communication could be far more complex and nuanced than humans had ever imagined. The hidden city itself became a global research center, a living testament to the potential of collective human intelligence. Researchers from around the world took turns studying its complex systems, each team uncovering new layers of insight. Elena Rodriguez became the symbolic leader of this new era of human exploration. Her team was celebrated not just as researchers, but as the first human ambassadors to a much larger, more complex universe. They had proven that human curiosity, adaptability, and collaborative spirit were truly exceptional. Educational systems transformed. Children were now taught to think across disciplinary boundaries, to approach problems with creativity and collaborative intelligence. The rigid educational models of the past gave way to more flexible, interconnected learning approaches. Space exploration programs received unprecedented funding and support. The technologies received from the hidden city made interstellar travel not just a possibility, but an imminent reality. Humanity began to prepare for its first genuine steps into a larger cosmic community. "We are not alone," Elena would often say in her speeches, "and we are far more capable than we ever imagined." The first deep space missions began to take shape. Vessels designed with the advanced technologies from the hidden city promised to push the boundaries of human exploration. They were more than ships. They were living embodiments of human potential. As starships began construction in orbital facilities, a new sense of purpose filled humanity. The discovery had done more than provide technological insights. It had given humans a profound understanding of their place in the universe, not as a small, insignificant species, but as a civilization with extraordinary potential. The hidden city beneath the Atacama Desert had been more than a discovery. It was a doorway to a new era of human understanding, a bridge between what humanity had been and what it could become. Elena looked to the stars, knowing that the greatest journey was just beginning.